Clarissa, a young human rights activist living in Tasmania, heard of a political event on the 5th of October 2013 and chose to utilise the moment to put some of her concerns about Australia's asylum seeker policy to Australian Member of Parliament Bill Shorten, then the member for Maribyrnong, and more recently promoted to Leader of the Opposition in Federal Parliament.
I heard about an event being held at Cornelian Bay where Bill Shorten was in town to meet Labor members. This is just after their federal defeat, and so Bill Shorten and Anthony Albanese were cruising around hoping to get elected as the next opposition leader for the federal party. And just via Facebook I got one of those little invites to attend from Madeline Ogilvie, who's I'd had contact with through Australian Lawyers for Human Rights when the Pontville Detention Centre was open. When we arrived, we could see a normal barbecue and it looked very normal in a lot of respects, and hubby and I jumped out with our little dog Fang, and then I realised there were photos and minders, and it was a little bit unusual, I suppose, seeing that in action because I'm not normally around that sort of space. So I wasn't quite sure how I would make that connection. How do you navigate that space when I'm not really a Labor member? And I think I knew two people at that event, again through my connections through Pontville. Because I didn't really have a plan of how I was going to try and talk with Bill, I guess my little dog was a great character to kind of buy me some time and opportunities just to interact, because he's 2.5 kilos and he's a little bit cute and he's a bit old and deaf and blind and whatnot, so I let him walk wherever he wanted on the lead, and he'd just walk right into the midst of people standing around talking, and he's hard to resist because he's a bit cute. So that bought me some time just to kind of see how things were going, and I'd only been there a short time when Bill Shorten actually left, so I was kicking myself that I'd missed that opportunity. But then he actually came back again. I don't know where he went, probably for a photo or something, but he came back, and so I thought, I've got my second chance and this time I'm not going to waste it. Well, again, just following Fang around people gathering there, he walked right into a crowd of young people talking with Bill Shorten, and so I was sort of hovering on the fringes, so to speak, and Bill Shorten noticed my t-shirt, which is for Wonder Woman, and he said, "Oh, nice t-shirt." And so that was, I guess, that wonderful icebreaker, which no one could have ever foreseen. But it was a good icebreaker in that then I could say, I almost felt like I needed to confess straight away and say, like, I'm not a Labor person. So I straight away put my foot in it. I raised with Bill that I was concerned about the lack of difference between the parties, specifically with the refugee and asylum seeker policy. So I didn't go into the more detail of that policy, but I really felt it was important that he just knew that people like me who didn't even vote for Labor were watching that space, because we'd love to see some political leadership in this area in Australia, and for there to be, genuine alternatives and a difference to the current state.
There are important reasons why documenting a meeting with a Member of Parliament, such as by taking a joint photo, are really important. On the one hand, it helps to hold the politician to account for any commitment they may have informally made on the day to pursue your concern further. Also, a bonding exercise takes place in the taking of a photo, and the photo itself can later be used in social media, such as Twitter and Facebook, to further put pressure on the issue. Follow-up contact with the politician is also critically important, as this helps keep the issue you raised alive in their mind and creates an ongoing relationship with them on the issue of concern.
6 months later, I thought I'd write to Bill and say, "Hey, remember me?" Probably not, but here's a photo of me and my dog in my little Wonder Woman outfit, if you want to remember. And I listed 3 things that I thought could be potential differences that are kind of low-lying fruit, easier things to start with to distinguish themselves from the Liberal Party.
And you more recently wrote to him again, didn't you, in the last couple of weeks? What kind of contact did you make then, and what were your hopes for that letter?
Well, Mary Meets Muhammad was a movie that was set in Tasmania about the local community engaging the guys in the Pontville Immigration Detention Centre, and I hoped by sending a copy along it'd just be of interest, or even if it got passed on to other people, I don't care.
Copy of the movie, you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, so that I guess you could see that people that had no exposure to the issue before, generally when it's brought closer to them and it's more human, it just sort of takes the heat out of it, and you can have a bit more confidence that people are going to respond in a better way. I think the lesson for me is to take the opportunity or to make it, use whatever you've got at hand to make the opportunity, to be yourself, to think strategically, how can you get maximum mileage out of that small opportunity, and perhaps don't make the same mistakes twice. Try and think of ways to kind of have that ongoing follow-up conversation again, because I think they really do need to hear, they don't need to be attacked, they just need to know that people do care about the issue, and that I represent lots of other people who also do but might not have the same confidence to have that conversation.